What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the NYG Blue Zone. This your boy Attikis, joined by Quan and Rudy, and we got a lot to talk about, y'all. I know a lot of people thought that once the Giants season ended, that we was just going to take a pause, but so much has been happening, not just with the Giants, but around the league too, right? We got all these head coaching vacancies. We had some movement with coaches already, and we're going to break it all down. But before we start, I just want to ask everybody, if you're a fan of the show and you like the content that we share, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so every time we drop some new content, you're one of the first ones to be notified. And don't forget also, I'm going to drop Rudy's page information in the bottom in the description so that you guys can sign up and join his page as well. All right. So, guys, the big elephant in the room, John Harbaugh has officially signed his contract, and he is now the head coach of the New York Football Giants. And I want to get both of your reactions on this. Tell me exactly what you felt when you got the news that it was a done deal. And we're going to start with you, Quan, and then we're going to move over to Rudy. All right.
I couldn't be more excited, man. I felt like we almost blew our chance by winning those last two games. I thought the job was more appealing if we had the first overall pick, but it looks like the Giants went all out in the recruiting, and Jackson Dart showed up. Seeing that made me excited. So I just feel
Yeah, they
great.
said he sat with him for 2 hours, right?
Yeah, and I feel great about the fact that we have a coach that is a proven ceiling raiser. Like, he's gonna make anywhere he goes a better organization. And you can tell just by the hiring process how he was not willing to sign that paperwork until he was able to create a structure in his paperwork that allowed him to create a structure in our organization the way that he knew it would be successful, because that's all he's ever been. So happy is an understatement. I feel like this is that pivotal turning point for our team, and I'm just excited to see what's going to happen these next few years and just being a Giants fan during that time.
No doubt. Rudy, how you feel about it?
Yeah, bro. Just like Quan said, man, it's I can't explain it in words. Maybe the last excitement I had like this was probably Super Bowl 46, man. No doubt, I feel it. I felt like we won the Super Bowl, just a couple days ago, man, because it wasn't solidified until what, Saturday, and
Sunday.
yeah,
Oh,
man,
actually, Saturday, Sunday, yeah, close. It was one of those days.
and I was, I know everybody said not to worry, it was gonna get done, but I'm just glad, bro. I thank God, because this New York Giants, man, 14 years we've been just pretty much in the dumps, trash. Whatever you want to call us, the New York Browns, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to call it. But 14 years, we only been to the playoffs twice, 2 winning seasons, and we haven't had this type of commodity, I guess you want to say. Yeah, of course, somebody like when Tom Coughlin came in, um, he won his 2 Super Bowls with us, but it's what people don't remember, and I was a kid, is the last time a big time head coach like this came through was somebody like a Dan Reeves, only because he went to the Super Bowl 3 times, even though he didn't win any. But that was the last time we had a big time head coach that the Giants could pick up. But look, man, it had to. I was just glad that the Giants decided to go ahead and, I guess, bite their tongue, decide, all right, man, if change is going to happen, it's got to be done the way he wants to get it, the way he wants to get it done. And I'm glad that they went all out and did what they had to do to make sure that he could run it his way, so that way we can get, back to, my God, prominence, man, relevancy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Something that we can all sit here and be like, wow, the month of December is going to be crucial for the New York Giants, man, because we're trying to win some games to try to make a run for the wild cards, man. Something, you know what I mean? Instead of us sitting
No
here
doubt.
always in the top 3 in draft picks, and all of a sudden, here we go. We win 2 games that are meaningless in December, not to get the number 1 draft pick. But yeah, I'm excited, bro.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. I share the same feelings that both of you guys have. We may not have had meaningful games in December, but we've had a meaningful January so far, right? And I think the ceiling has definitely been elevated with John Harbaugh as the head coach. I also think that there's a lot of reasons why we can be hopeful given his pedigree, given the amount of experience he has had winning. I'm not just talking about being an experienced head coach, because initially I think the Giants was really entertaining signing Kevin Stefanski because he was a seasoned head coach. But Kevin Stefanski only won 8 games in the last 2 years. And then, just like in Giants fashion, it felt like they might have fucked this up, right? Like something was gonna go wrong. And even though we kept hearing from different media outlets and beat writers that they're gonna get this done, and like Quan talked about, he was making sure meticulously that the contract was what he wanted it to be, which is an indicator of who he's gonna be as a head coach. But it gave me an uneasy feeling as each day passed and we didn't have a signed contract. But I'm glad they got it done, because I think, Rudy, it was you who talked about Tom Coughlin coming in, and I think some people forget like how valuable it is. And I look at organizations like the Steelers, who just fired their head coach Mike Tomlin. They say that he walked away, but I think that there was something else going on there where it was either you resign or we're probably going to move on, but they gave him the dignity, right? Sean McDermott out in Buffalo losing his job with the Bills.
I'm
You
blown
can't,
away by
like,
that.
people, listen, even John Harbaugh being let go by the Ravens, these people don't understand how how important it is to have a stable force at the head coaching position. We
Listen,
know what that's like. And now we've got our guy. The Giants locked him into a 5-year deal. And I hope that they don't get, I guess they won't get that way, because they're still keeping Joe Shane, which says they don't want to keep having musical chairs with head coaches and general managers. But I'm excited about it too. But one thing I want to ask you guys, and there's some smoke that came out, right, about one of the sticking points for John Harbaugh was he wanted to have equal say, if not more, in who we pursue as players, free agents, and during the draft process. Do you think, and this might be some conspiracy I'm just going to throw it out there. Do you think that Joe Shane in year 2 of the Harbaugh era is still going to be here, or this was all a ploy to get rid of him? That they wanted stability going in, but now they got him. He's going to pick his guy next year.
I feel like I'll go first, Rudy, if you don't mind.
No,
I
go
feel
ahead, Quan.
like when the Mara family flew down to Baltimore to pick up Harbaugh, if Joe Shane wasn't on that plane, there was a conversation that was had. And that conversation involved, listen, I know what winning looks like and I know what winning entails. I know what type of players need to be in this locker room for us to represent that. And if my views don't align with his this year, and we're seeing this differently in the draft process, then I don't think we have our GM. And you got to trust that if you're going to sign me to this organization, and I know what a proper GM can do, because look at all the talent that ran through, Baltimore, especially defensively, then yeah, I don't think that Joe Shane's their year too. And it could be a successful season. I
Yep.
think that, the conversation was there. Now, unless he hits 2, 3, 4 home runs in the draft and it all works, kind of like what the Seahawks did this year, then I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be our GM. But if Harbaugh has as much say as Shane and everything goes perfectly, like we win a playoff game or something, maybe he gets lucky and keeps his job. We'll see. But that's where my head is at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What you think, Rudy?
Yeah, pretty much like Quan. Only thing is, I say, let's just say that Joe Shane from this day forward is the yesser. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be going with whatever my man John is gonna be going with. I think if we're in the hunt or we're making a spot in the playoffs and their relationship is going good, because we're really not gonna. I mean, nobody's gonna know. Maybe if we're doing this hard knock bullshit again for next season, we're really gonna know and find out. Well, maybe not personally, but we're gonna know that we're gonna see what they're gonna see, how they're gonna work together when it comes during draft. You know what I'm saying? In a couple of months, when the draft starts picking up heat, and I think that with John Harbaugh, I think Joe Shane understands. And I think the only way Joe Shane stays here after this season is working with John Harbaugh, and if they disagree on something, you better, yes, sir, you got it. That's what you want to go with. Forget about mine. You know what I mean? I think that's the only way he survives. And and if he stays here after this year, and we're making playoff pushes or whatever the case may be, we're in the playoffs. You know, let's just say 2027 season, we're in the playoffs and we're in there. I mean, Joe Shane knows what he's got to do. He's still a rookie, if you want to say as a GM. He's still learning, but yeah, I think from this day forward is a yes sir from now on if he wants to stay as the GM. At the end of the day, whatever happens, if we're succeeding, at the end of the day, John Harbaugh and Joe Shane are still going to get the credit. So
Right.
True that. I think that Joe Shane just got a seat on the bus at this point. I think that anybody who has watched the Giants organization, watched John Harbaugh over the past number of years, and saw how this whole thing unfolded knows that he's really the one that's calling the shots. Joe Shane is not. And like Quan said, I think that initial dinner with Chris Mara and John Harbaugh at his house, that's where he set the stage and said, listen, this is what it is, but you'll have the final say in what we do. Now, I want to ask you guys another question. So, all of us probably universally think that Sean McDermott should not have lost his job. Yeah, Josh Allen did some things to lose that game. Yeah, they are 0-7 on the road in the playoffs, 0-7 in overtime games. It seems like they're always in overtime and losing in the playoffs. Sean McDermott lost his job. And there was a questionable call on a reception, turn, interception, whatever. And then there were some, like I said, some mistakes that Josh Allen made. Was it, and I said this a week ago, that if the Bills don't win this playoff game, if they don't win the Super Bowl, he's probably going to lose his job. Had he lost this job because the Bills lost in a wild card round, do you think Harbaugh is here, or is he in Buffalo with Josh Allen as his court, or Kevin Stefanski not signing with Atlanta and they're in Buffalo now? What do you think
Um,
about that?
I want to start by saying that McDermott should not have lost his job. I got a real big sports group chat, me and my boys. We actually took a screenshot of the last 3 years of Bills draft picks, and that has been terrible. He can't even draft a 700-yard wide receiver. And all McDermott
Well,
had was
the GM
Cooks,
just got promoted to president of football
and
operations too.
he must be a friend of the family because all he had was Josh Allen and James Cook. That is the worst. I can't think of a worse quarterback job to get in the league right now than the Buffalo Bills quarterback job. Who are those guys? You know what I mean? Like, we know who they are because they're old vets, been in the league a long time, but their top guy can't even get a start because he's a healthy scratch every week. Because he's an idiot. So McDermott should have not got fired. I think that no matter what, we pursue Harbaugh. I think he's that caliber of coach. He gets let go, even if McDermott's on the market. We don't have Dable anymore. You know what I mean? They're not going to work together and create some synergy they used to have. Harbaugh's the top guy, and you just make that decision where we go all in here, and if we fall flat on our face, we'll see what's out there. But you got to try Harbaugh no matter what.
No doubt.
yeah, man,
What do
I
you think,
agree with
Rudy?
Quan. First and foremost, the same thing. I don't think Sean McDermott should have lost his job. I found out an interesting stat today while I was watching the whole Sean McDermott news going on. Get Up this morning was saying something that since he's been the GM, they drafted 58 players since 2018, and only 2 have been to the Pro Bowl, now adding a third one with James Cook. That's wild. That's wild. So pretty much we're talking about the quarterback, of course, making the Pro Bowl. We know who he is. And somebody that really nobody's going to know names of, offensive tackle Deion Dawkins, bro. That's it. That's
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
who made the play. So what Quan was saying is, yeah, they've been shitty draft picks, man. But the thing is this, would he still be the Giants head coach? What Ian O'Connor was saying earlier today on the Giants.com was, even if Sean McDermott was available at the same time with John Harbaugh, John Harbaugh did say he went and asked around when he found out he got fired about the Giants job. So I believe John Harbaugh was already intrigued and excited about the Giants job, more so than any other team in the league. You know what I mean? So I felt like, no, I don't think we would have never had a shot at John. I think we had a shot with John the whole time. It's just figuring out this chain of command, like we say in the Army, this chain of command, who's going to be running things and how things should be ran from this day forward, because the Giants have been doing the same thing since 79, since George Young has been the GM. That's a long ass time. I wasn't even born till 83, bro. So the same things have been going on. Head coach reports to GM then go ahead and talks to the owner. And their analytics department / their scouting department has been done a certain way too for a long time. They said since the 80s. Bro, it's time to
Right.
it's time to change. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that he's here. And I still felt like he would still be our coach. They would have lost last week against the Jaguars, even if Sean McDermott was there. Sean McDermott, it is crazy, man. For me, a Sean McDermott right now, he said he still wants to coach, like he was stating earlier today to his teammates when he left. Look, man, where Sean McDermott can go, if we want to talk about that now, I would have said the Pittsburgh Steelers, but who in the hell they got as a quarterback, bro?
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, who they got as a quarterback? They've been getting year rentals for years since Ben Roethlisberger retired, bro. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I would say go to Pittsburgh, and that's a stable organization, but who you going there as a quarterback? You don't even have – you're in the 28th pick, 27th?
I'll tell you who you get. I'll tell you who you get right now. Imagine Josh Allen in Pittsburgh with McDermott. I can see it happening. I was thinking about that earlier today. What a better place for him to go.
That would
I
be
mean,
great.
yeah,
He,
but
he would be Big Ben 2.0, but the Bills are
Yes,
yeah,
he
never going to
would.
have.
I
They
can't see
won't let
it.
him go, but I think that would work. But, and here's the thing that we're dealing with, and it keeps being a thorn in our side. Like we've talked about Joe Shane, and the only reason he's been as attractive as he has been to the Mara and the Tisch family is because of what he did in this most recent draft and a little bit of the prior draft. But he's part of that tree that you guys just talked about coming out of Buffalo. He was the assistant general manager to what's his name, Brian Bean or something like that, coming out of Buffalo. So they have the same approach. They use the same eye and lens to look at players. And it hasn't really worked out for Joe Shane until most recently. So it doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence and I don't want that for John Harbaugh to keep him around, because we know who's running the show for John Harbaugh to keep him around moving forward. But I do want to talk about real quick. We got a lot of vacancies in the NFL. We talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Atlanta hired Kevin Stefanski. And I got to say, I was never really truly on board with Kevin Stefanski. Not when the different options opened up the way that they did, right? I think we got the right guy. Let me say that. But how do you go from Raheem Morris, who was one game below 500 as the head coach out there, to Kevin Stefanski, who only won 8 games in his most recent 2 seasons as a coach, with the defense that he had in Cleveland? How do you do that and justify it? Matty Ice thought Raheem Morris was not the guy, and Kevin Stefanski was. I need to understand that.
I'll tell you why. I don't think that. I know for a fact that the NFC South is the most winnable division in the NFL every single year. And the Falcons have failed to do so many years in a row. Mr. Stefanski, when he had talent, was able to perform. Right now, the Browns are in a terrible offensive situation. They can't figure out a quarterback. Running backs keep getting hurt. They lost Chubb, now they lost Judkins. Wide receiver, the only decent one is a diva who cares more about how he plays than how the game
Jerry
goes.
Jeudy.
Yeah, and then, but when Stefanski had it all, he did it all. He won a playoff game. And I feel like that's the kind of stuff that matters when the Atlanta Falcons, they have a floor, right? and that's going to get there no matter what. I think with Raheem Morris, the floor stayed high, and that's great. But you need somebody to elevate, come up with those schemes, play like coach better when football becomes situational. You know what I mean? I've seen games where they run Bijan Robinson 10 times. He's the most talented runner in the NFL. Like, how does that come about? So like, you just got to take advantage of that. And you could say what you want about the Browns. They were in 15 of those games, like big time. So I mean, they're set up for a good pick, but with a lack of talent, he really kept that offense outperforming a lot of offenses. The defense obviously did his thing. I think it was a good hire for both. For Stefanski, he gets to be around a lot of talent, and I think that the Falcons needed the ceiling to go up, not the floor. So
Yeah, man. Quan's on fire, man. He's right. We could just take it back even before the Browns. You knew that he was a great offensive mind when he was the offensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, that team, especially where Kirk Cousins and when Stephon Diggs was there, man. I'm talking about that was a top 3 offense, man. Top 3 offense for 3 years, bro. 3 years with a Kirk Cousins who can't move he really can't move around the pocket. But the thing is this, I think it's a great pick because I'm not gonna lie, man. Without no John Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin being in there, Kevin Stefanski was gonna be my next coach. That's who I wanted. Yeah, it would have been offensive mind, but at least he's already been a coach who has made it to the playoffs, and that's what I was looking at with experience. You talk about these new coaches, mainly they're offensive and defensive coordinators. Look, man, people can make fun of me when I say this, but you know what will be a great hire right now for the Buffalo Bills for familiarity? Brian Dable. Brian Dable. Why not have a Brian Dable go right back to Buffalo? Is that a downgrade from a Sean McDermott? Yeah, but who did Brian Dable start with and work with and help turn down on the turnovers his first couple of years? You know what I mean? Josh Allen. It may sound stupid. It may be like, yeah, bro, but look what he did with the Giants. But look, man, he had a so-called a temporary team that was a Dave Gettleman team that we all knew that, holy shit, 9-7-1. I don't even know how we got to this. We're in the playoffs, but I knew we weren't going to be ready to play somebody like the Philadelphia Eagles, man. I mean, we go in there and everybody already made a thing the whole season that a 13-3 Minnesota Vikings or 13 or 14, whatever they were, that they weren't really a 14-3 team. You know what I mean? They were like us, winning these one-score games. The only thing is we just came out on top with, I don't know how in the fuck we did it with Daniel Jones, but if he can just do that with a year one, if he can do that with a year one with a Daniel Jones and only have him with 4 fumbles that first season with Brian Dable and 5 interceptions and us make the playoffs and beat a so-called good Vikings team, you know what I mean? Why not bring a Brian Dable right back to back to Buffalo Bills? Let him be the coach. You never know what happens, but Kevin Stefanski is a great offensive mind, dude. And yeah, they're pretty dumb for letting him go, Raheem Morris. But Kevin Stefanski he's a huge offensive mind, and I think that Falcons offense next year is going to be humming.
Yeah,
I think that's an interesting take with Dable going to Buffalo. I didn't think about that, but it could work. But I also think that I gotta disagree with the Kevin Stefanski thing because of one reason. I'm gonna tell you all why.
Go ahead, man.
I think he is an incredible offensive mind. The things that he did with Minnesota that landed him the job in since Cleveland, the things he was able to do when everything was right around him was good. But a part of that was he got the right defensive coordinator. He got a seat on the bus.
For sure.
Jim Schwartz had that. Listen, I don't want another coach that's almost winning games. And that's what he did in Cleveland. Unless everything was right and
who's gonna win with that roster?
But bro,
I get what you're saying, but with that defense, their defense has been very good, admirable, in fact, over the past couple of years. But we can agree to disagree. I think he's going to be a great offensive mind. I think he's going to see some things happen and go his way because he's got a little bit more talent. And I think the jury is still out on Michael Penix. We don't know what he's going to be yet. He's always injured, but when he's in there, he plays pretty well. And you're right, Bijan Robinson, I think that it was malpractice what happened with that offense last year with him on that roster. I mean, they still have a top 10 or what should be a top 10 tight end and wide receiver on that roster. Offensively, there's some pieces. They got a good defense out there. We will see what happens. We will see what happens in Atlanta. I don't think that just because you're a good offensive coordinator, it means you're going to be a good coach, a good head coach. And we've seen that happen too many times.
I think that when your team is being misused for so long in a division where the Panthers win this year, the Bucks win that year, the Panthers win this year, and it's like, man, like we can't
Terrible
win 10.
Division.
10 wins the NFC South.
Or
9 wins.
Or 9.
Yeah, or 9.
It has been 9 or 10.
They all tied for the same record, and then the Falcons lost the tiebreaker. So it's just tough to have a defense, and they nailed the draft. The Falcons nailed it. Those two defenders they got in the first round,
for sure,
absolute studs. You can't even run on the Falcons. You can't run the ball.
Nope.
I mean, like it's extremely tough. And then they got AJ Terrell. Like it's just all the pieces are there on defense. It's the most misused offense in the NFL. Like that. Like if your offensive coordinator, your dream is Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan. You could put me at quarterback. We're gonna figure it out. You know what I mean?
Bro. Yeah.
Kirk is serviceable. Penix is serviceable. It's the best backup or two-man quarterback situation in the league, if you want to call it that. He's gonna make it hum over there, just like Rudy said. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to our Giants.
It is gonna be nice, bro. Because you got to look at it. Look, man, Kirk Cousins is about to bang out 40, bro. But the thing is this: until Michael Penix gets back from his ACL, which, mind you, that's his third one already since he's been playing football. The thing is this: Kirk Cousins is getting a familiar offensive mind. When he had his best years, passing years, throwing touchdowns, the interception ratio, Kevin Stefanski, bro. And if anybody can run that offense, even at his age, I can still see Kirk Cousins still getting it done down there, bro. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who right now? You got to remember, Kevin Stefanski got picked up as the first time got picked up as a head coach in 2018 with the Browns. You still had Baker Mayfield. You still had what's his name, Nick Chubbs. You're talking about young guys coming in, and they were balling, bro, and coming out beating Pittsburgh in the first round of the playoffs. You know what I mean? And then they let Baker Mayfield go. Too many injuries. They say, nah, he's done. Look what he's doing in Tampa. But then he gets into this whirlwind where he's stuck with a Watson. He's stuck. And then they draft a Dylan Gabriel. And then now they have a Shedeur Sanders. Bro, that man, I'm surprised he didn't shoot himself. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with that misery of 3 different quarterbacks and who should be the starter, whoever's the coach this year still got to do with Watson's contract for next season. And what are they going to do with Watson? So his first 3 years being coach of the year, coming in there and bringing the Browns to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. You know what I mean? I can't fault him for what's going on the last 3 years with Watson, with now Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur this year. You know what I'm saying? So
you don't have to fault him. I will. I'll do it for you.
Man, bro.
So let's talk about our Giants. We got our guy. I think we all happy about our guy. I will say this, too. There are reports that came out that many different franchises reached out to the Tomlin camp once he left Pittsburgh. And he told everybody the same thing. I am not coaching in 2026. Giants was one of the first teams to reach out. And that's fine. I'm real happy with because y'all know that's who I wanted. I wanted Mike Tomlin. But I'm real happy with our guy. What do you see happening next season? I was watching, what's his name, Colin Hurd today.
Yeah.
He said, I can see the Giants winning 10 or 11 games, and they are now at the top of the NFC East. I am way too cautiously optimistic to talk like that because I need to see what we're doing. Although I think it's possible, and I think Harbaugh would not have come here if he didn't think he had some really good pieces in place. And we could just look at the roster and see that the Giants is stacked up pretty nicely. They were what we've been saying this for a while. They're a coach away. We still don't know who the DC is going to be or the OC is going to be or special teams for that matter. But we've been saying we're a coach away and maybe a few other pieces away from being playoff contenders, right? Where do you guys think we're going to end up come 2020? And it's way too early, but tell me what you think anyway.
Go ahead, Quan.
I'll go first. So the first thing I'll say is this, and I hate to say this about our franchise, but it's the truth. I feel like the number one principle we stand on as a franchise is integrity, but it's not winning. And I feel like for the first time in a long time, we got somebody whose foundation leads to winning. So it's hard to look at Harbaugh as our coach, the staff that we have, or that we're going to acquire, because I know Harbaugh is going to bring in a hell of an offensive and defensive mind. And I think it's going to make a huge difference with how we run entirely. Like, I expect to not recognize us next year. And with that being said, there's 7 playoff spots available. I look at who got in this year. The Packers crawled in. They started off 6 wins out of their first 7 games or something like that. And they crawled in with 9 wins. The Panthers crawled in with a sneaky division title. The room is open. It's wide open for us to at least double our win total, but I think we'll be around 9 or 10. And I think that I'll take it a step further. You can't game plan what we're going to do next year. You didn't get to see Malik Neighbors this year with Jackson Dart. You didn't get to see Dart.
Is he going to be the same player, though?
The technology that exists now, what I've seen people do after an ACL, looks better than how they looked before the ACL. I think that the medical staff that exists for the NFL and the team doctors are going to make sure Malik Neighbors is not stepping on that field without being over-prepared to be a baller. Now, depending on how we draft as well, I'm just looking forward to a complete shift and going into a different feeling as a Giants fan. That feeling I've been waiting for a long, long time. Last time we won a bowl, I was 21. So I want to feel how that feels now. Like,
how
I know
old are you now? For context,
yeah,
you
for
were
context,
21.
I'm 35. But I think back, right? I remember us watching the Super Bowl in the basement on the theater screen, and you must have been what, 40? Like, how great did that feel? Because your whole life, you got to, you've been a Giants fan and you got to feel back to back in 4 years, or not back to back, but that it feels different than when you're 17 and then 21.
2 of them in my 40s.
Yeah, I was a Giants fan at that time, but you can't be a Giants fan at that age the way you can be now. You know what I mean? So it would hit so different. But I'm calling it, man. If I had to give you a number right now, I would say 10.5 is my number, because I think we can end up tying the game or something.
Well, like I was telling Attikis the other day, for right now, Las Vegas for the 2026 season, saw this earlier this morning, they have us at 8.5 wins. I was saying to Unc the other day that I just want to be happy for relevancy, man. I want us to hit December. We're getting ready. We just had Thanksgiving, and man, we might have a chance for a wild card spot. I'm cool with 8 and 9, 9 and 8, and trying to see if we can creep on in or at least be in the hunt. That's what I look forward to next year. But 10.5, I mean, bro, I'm an optimistic dude, bro. Watching the Super Bowl back, 14 years ago? You know what I'm saying? I was 29. You know what I mean? But I watched that Super Bowl back at home, coming back, being stationed in Germany in the 2007. I had to watch that from Iraq. You know what I mean? When we won the Super Bowl 42. So it's been big for me every time, because of course I remember Super Bowl 25. I was 7 years old, but it like you said, being that young, it doesn't hit like it is when you're a lot older. It hits because you realize as a grown man how hard it is for you to make it there. You know what I'm saying? We're not going through the blood, sweat, and tears and and on the football team, but we know how hard it is as fans for a team to make it there like that. It's hard to make it to the Super Bowl, but
Yeah.
yeah, bro. I just want us to be able to sit here, a year from now and be like, oh my God, we made the 7th spot. Damn, you know what? It was a
Yeah.
good year. We were in the hunt, but this team beat us out, whatever the case. But I'm cool with that too, bro. I just want to be relevant, bro. That's it. I just want to be relevant.
You don't have a number?
I'm a oh, go ahead.
You got a number?
9.5 wins. Las Vegas says 8.5. I'll go with 9.5.
I'm gonna piggyback off Rudy, and I'll say this because you brought up Thanksgiving. I would like to be 7-6 at Thanksgiving, where we're all eating dinner, and we're like, wow, these next 4 games are really gonna decide if we make the playoffs.
I don't want to
That's
be out
that
of the
feeling.
playoffs by Halloween every year, bro.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, at Thanksgiving, I'm just like, hope we lose out. That's not
No
fun,
doubt.
right? So yeah, I totally agree with Rudy. And like I said, that's the optimistic version of me, but the humble version of me just want to see us having a shot to make the playoffs after Thanksgiving. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. I think about a lot, right? Like, let me start off by giving you my number. I'm going to say 8. 8 is my number. Although I think we can go high as 11. That me looking at it through blue lenses. And I'm going to tell you why. 8 is because I have been conditioned to understand we are not going to hit that ceiling that quick. It's just how it's been for us, right? However, I could be surprised. Dable came in 9-7-1 year 1. I was like shocked. But when I looked at it and the way that they did it, it was like, why haven't we been doing this the whole time? I look at our roster. Jackson Dart has had his first year, he's got 1,000-yard receiver in Wan'Dale Robinson. He ain't even play a whole year, right? 1,000-yard receiver. Last year, the Giants had 1,000-yard receiver in Malik Neighbors. Tyrone Tracy Jr. has had 2 1,000-yard seasons. That's production, right, on the offensive side of the ball. The things that Jackson Dart has been able to do as the quarterback, you can't coach it. He's got good field awareness, good pocket presence. He knows how to create when the play breaks down and make something happen. If not with his legs, then he does it through the air. And I can't even tell you the untapped potential of our defense. We got a peek in the window of it when Charlie Bullen took over for Shane Bowen. That defense is going to be humming. John Harbaugh had his pick of the litter. He could have went anywhere. The only place he didn't have an option to go to, the only place, was the Buffalo Bills. Don't forget, the Steelers might have looked at John Harbaugh as an option. I don't think they would have because they like a young guy who was going to give them 20 years of their life. But he looked at Atlanta. He saw the talent in Atlanta. And he said, I think I'm going to go to New York. There's many reasons that probably went into it.
And pay more taxes. And pay more taxes.
And pay more taxes.
And being more traffic and everything that come with living in North Jersey. So he had to decide
Quan,
that. He did.
And bigger than that, he's 62. He knows he's not going to be doing the grind of being an NFL coach. I won a Super Bowl. He knows that. And when you look at where he is set up to go to have the greatest level of success, and this is all based on what you guys both started talking about, this guy knows how to run a team. He's got a standard, right? So he knew this was the place to get it done. He also put out a statement through one of his interviews that he sees the Giants competing for the playoffs next year already. And I don't take his evaluation of this roster lightly. I don't, because I know what he's been capable of doing. I don't know if you guys remember when Lamar Jackson came out and Joe Flacco was still the starting quarterback, and the Baltimore Ravens took him with the last pick of the first round of that draft. And we were like, Flacco just won you a Super Bowl. How are you going to spend a first round pick on Lamar Jackson? And they did. And very quickly, Lamar Jackson became their starting quarterback. He saw something in him. That's something that you could not have come up with in your draft room strat. Nobody else had him on their board at 1. Maybe they looked at him as a backup. when he won his Super Bowl, his offensive coordinator was not doing what he wanted to see on the field. In the middle of the season, he fired him and hired a new offensive coordinator, went on to win the Super Bowl. The
Hey,
guy knows what he's doing.
There's some breaking news that just came in my notification. Again, you take everything with a grain of salt, and I like
Go
to know
ahead.
where they get their sources from. But it's what I just saw right now on it's just Giants chats now, saying the rumor is going around right now that John Harbaugh wants to bring in Sean McDermott for an interview for DC. What do you think about that?
Wow.
I like it.
Wow.
I
the
like
one
it.
thing the one thing the Bills have always had going for themselves is that defense.
Not this
You
year.
look at listen, you'd be surprised how often a mistake that Josh Allen made, and I love Josh Allen, has put their defense in a worse position to defend that football field. Like if he doesn't have 4 turnovers, they're not starting possessions in the red zone. The Broncos, and then you put in the back against the wall. When they have a full field to defend, it is hard to get up that field and score in the Bills. So if
Yeah, but
McDermott
they
comes
gave
in at
up 30
DC,
points a game this year.
that's tough. But it ain't because he's not the DC. He's the head coach.
No,
You know what I mean?
he's the DC too. He calls the
He
plays for
was.
defense. Yeah.
Listen, I think he's just exhausted with the Bills organization. He got a long way to go. Plus,
they had Leslie Frazier as their DC and let him go, and then he
Yeah,
started
yeah, yeah.
calling the
they
plays
took
for the
over the calls.
defense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it'll be amazing, man. I think we got a lot more
I like
talent than
him.
Buffalo has.
Yeah, but I don't think he's gonna not be a head coach. He's too. The guy has been to the playoffs 8 of the 9 seasons he's been a head coach.
But look at it. Like if you realize and you sit down there, why not say to himself, "Hey, you know what? Let me take a year or 2 off and let me go ahead and maybe call plays
Yeah,
as a DC
yeah.
because the situation is not great at Cleveland. The situation is definitely not great in Miami. You know what I'm saying? And you sit there and what's the situation? You got Jacoby over there and Kyle Murray over there in Arizona. Like the situation is really not that good for
The
quarterback.
only attractive place to go right now is probably Baltimore. Probably.
Well, yeah.
Draft the wide out. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you can say Oakland. You can say Las Vegas because they got the number 1 overall pick, but do you want to build another quarterback? I don't know. That's all they got in Vegas.
I think that Vegas is attractive. I think living in Vegas is attractive. I think that beautiful new stadium's attractive. I think having Ashton Genty plus the number 1 overall pick is attractive. They still got Max Crosby on defense who wants to be there. That's important. He does not want to go somewhere else, but the Raiders
And
have
what's
been
the
treating
tight
him like
end's name out there?
Brock Bowers. Oh
Yeah,
my.
Brock Bowers.
So if there was ever an attractive job, you got Mendoza who looks incredible, who's about to play in what?
Yeah, but he's
The
unproven.
game's starting now.
The game's just
He's
started
unproven.
now. But dude,
He's unproven,
that's why
but
Pete
that
Carroll
guy
got
is
fired.
brilliant. Yeah,
That's why Pete Carroll got fired because I bet you it has something to do with Max Crosby, man. Having to sit down that final game against his one being sat down on the Giants game and be shut down. I wonder if
and
Max
being very
Crosby
vocal
had
about
influence.
it too.
Right.
it took 5 minutes of research and watching interviews, gameplays, and breakdown of how he analyzed plays on offense to realize that Mendoza deserves to be the number 1 pick. He is
Yep.
incredibly smart. He's
Yeah.
intelligent. He's humble. He comes from super humble beginnings, and he acts like he doesn't even curse. You know what I mean? Like he says things are flipping awesome at the end of games, and he always gives glory to God. And I just like how
Amen
he
to that.
handles his business. That kid can ball, and I
Yeah,
think
man.
on the next level, he got an opportunity to be in an organization that is desperate for somebody to turn things around. And he's gonna walk right into a Genty, a Brock Bowers, and some other good pieces to make that thing roll. So
Yeah, man.
that's a great job available
Yeah.
if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have a lot more to talk about as things continue to develop. There's a lot of good names that are still out there. We need to get a defensive coordinator. We need to get an offensive coordinator and fill that special teams role. I think we all want Carmen Brasillo to stay where he is, but we'll see what happens. Right now, I think that's a good place to wrap it up, though.
Yeah.
We will have. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say after tonight, everyone's going to be talking about the combine. And so that's a lot more information we could dig into and see what's next for our team as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, we didn't even talk about the playoff games this weekend, which was like chock full of turnovers and controversy.
Man,
It was just crazy watching
the only
those
thing
games.
I learned this weekend is that the league need to get ready for Caleb. That's the only thing I learned this weekend.
Well, you know what I learned this weekend
insane.
too? C.J. Stroud cannot play in super cold weather, even though he played in Ohio State. It boggles my mind. Boggles my mind.
Yeah,
You come around with 4 fumbles in the first game and 5 turnovers in the second game. Bro, that's wild. He had no energy, bro. He just doesn't look like he can play at all in the cold. At all.
Yeah,
I agree.
There's some terrible offensive lines that are in the playoffs right now because I can't even tell you how many strip sack fumbles we saw just this past weekend. It must have been 10 of them. Just unbelievable. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Don't forget to check out Rudy's information for his page down below. And we'll be back at you guys as soon as we get more information on these coordinators, some of these head coaching moves. Obviously, we're going to place heavy focus on the Giants, but there's just so much happening, and it's so juicy. We got to talk about it all. So thanks for spending some time with us, and we will talk to you guys soon. Go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue.
Peace, everybody.
I'll see y'all, yep.
Yeah, a lot of girls probably crying from my old high school. Look, they see me everywhere they go, I probably would too. Look, crossed over to the Jordan men like I'm Michael. Yeah, eating blessings so much I might need lipo. Yeah, tailored for the doves like I'm walking in chucks. Yeah, it's just in this plan, man, I see all y'all shook. Look, knew that I was great ever since I was a rook. Man, all y'all singles making me look good. Okay, praise to the Most High, yeah, that's Jesus. Look, but when it come to this rap thing, I can't lose. Yeah, back-to-back number ones, that's a thing greats do. Yeah, tell them boys that ain't nothing I can't do. It's my year. It's my year.